This is probably how you imagine a green city. Tower blocks surrounded by plants, rooftop gardens, tree-lined streets. But for most Europeans, that's not the reality. As climate extremes become more frequent and severe, European cities are under pressure to adapt. The European Union has set a clear target. No city should lose green space or tree cover by 2030. And from 2031 onwards, urban green space should be expanded until it meets satisfactory levels. However, greening a city is not just about planting more trees, because if done wrong, it can lead to new problems. So, how do you green a city the right way? The World Health Organization recommends that everyone should live within 300 meters of a park or green area. In Europe, just fewer than half of city residents do. In fact, the only capital cities with more than 15% of their land occupied with green space are Stockholm, Athens, and Dublin. In Ljubljana, that's just 1%. But the map changes if you look only at trees. Ljubljana leads Europe in tree canopy coverage, followed by Vilnius and Zagreb. This means millions of Europeans are missing out on the benefits that green spaces offer. Parks, gardens, and trees are not only aesthetically pleasing, they can also lower temperatures, improve air quality, and absorb excess rainfall. Research shows that our mental well-being is closely linked to how well we handle heat stress. However, if not well planned, in certain situations, vegetation can have the opposite effect.
In some cases, in function of the geometry of the streets and how the city is planned, some streets can increase the level of air pollution because trees and their dense canopies, they can trap air pollution, especially if it's a street where a lot of motorized transport is passing by, because it traps the atmospheric layer, it reduces the wind speed. So very locally you can have increased levels of air pollution. And there's something similar happening with heat stress.
That's why, for the Swedish researcher Jenny Linden, urban planners need to look beyond parks and trees.
If you only look for trees, you're very limited in what you can put in the city outside of parks. Then it's just a few places where there's actually room for trees. But green walls, they provide cooling for the building, reduces the energy need for cooling inside the building. Same for green roofs. And although they don't have the same benefits as trees, they do increase the total leaf area, so they increase how much pollutants are removed from the air as they get stuck on the leaves instead of exposed to us.
But choosing the right type of greenery is part of the challenge. When it comes to tree planting, researchers say it shouldn't be about how many trees are planted, but which ones and where exactly. Without proper guidance, we could be planting the wrong species in the wrong places. Cities that planted just one species learned this the hard way.
The main focus should be site-specific tree selection, like they need to tolerate the site today and tomorrow. But we have a big issue in Europe that we have a very limited diversity of trees. And Amsterdam and Malmö have an experience when you lose a lot of trees. They did it because they have planted a lot of elms. And then the Dutch elm disease came, and there are areas in Amsterdam and Malmö that lost all the trees. They have to start all over again. This is very fragile because if these overused species get hit by a disease or a pest, and you lose a large amount of trees, you also lose all these benefits and ecosystem services.
Most researchers agree. If Europe does not get urban greening right, many cities could become unlivable. The challenge is making sure the vegetation we plant today will still be healthy decades from now.